Hello everybody, my name is Mark, this is Riffle Shuffle and Roll, and today I'm bringing you a look at a little game called Grinch Grow Your Heart. If it's your first time visiting the channel, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell so you're notified about new games every week. This game can best be described as an asymmetric rummy game with a Yahtzee style scoring. Each round there will be one player as the Grinch and the rest of the players will be Who's. Now, players are going to draw and discard each turn, and by the end of the round, they will have a 5-card hand, and that hand will be scored, like Yahtzee, according to specific categories on the score sheet. And again, like Yahtzee, players will have to choose which row or category they want to score for that round, and then they can never score that way again. And by the end of the game, they will have almost all of the rows filled with points. So your options get fewer and fewer as the game goes on. And what makes this game asymmetric? Well, the Who's all have one option for drawing. They get to draw their 2 cards from the draw pile only. And then they discard their card that they don't want for the round onto their own personal discard pile. But the Grinch gets to choose from any of the Who's discard piles, the draw pile, or their own discard pile when it's their turn to draw. So the Grinch gets many more options. With all that said, let's dive in and learn how to play. Out of the box, you're going to get an instruction booklet, a score pad, a 48 card deck, a Grinch tile, and 2 heart tokens. The deck has 4 suits. They are noise, present, wreath, and ornaments. Each suit has ranks 1 through 6, and there are 2 copies of each rank. One of the 1s, 2s, and 3s in each suit will offer a player a scoring bonus if they meet the objective that's on the card. So here, for example, a player will earn 5 bonus points if they have 1 noise card in their hand at the end of the round. Another example is a 10-point bonus here if the player has 3 present cards at the end of the round. To begin the game, the oldest player takes the Grinch tile and the 2 heart tokens. They will be the Grinch for the first round. Shuffle and deal 2 cards to each player and place the rest face down in the center of the table. The Grinch tile is used as a reminder for how many cards players should have at the end of the current turn. So at the end of this turn, all the players will have 3 cards. This is an asymmetric game with one player being the Grinch each round and the other players being Who's. Who's will go first. Each Who draws 2 cards and adds them to their hand. Then each Who will choose 1 card to discard in front of them into their own personal discard pile. After all of the Who's have drawn and discarded, the Grinch gets to take their turn. Now the Grinch can choose where to draw their 2 cards from. So they can draw a card from a Who's discard pile or from the draw pile. After deciding which cards they want to keep, the Grinch then discards 1 card to their own personal discard pile. After the Grinch has discarded, the turn is over. Every player has 3 cards in their hand, just like the tile says they should. So the Grinch places the 4 heart token on the tile, and a new turn begins. Again, all of the Who's take 2 cards from the draw pile and discard 1 to their own personal discard pile. After they have done so, the Grinch then chooses from which piles they would like to take their 2 cards. The Grinch discards. All of the players now have 4 cards in their hand. The turn ends, and the 5 token is placed on top of the Grinch tile. It's now time for the final turn. The process is repeated again. And after the Grinch is finished with their turn, each player will have 5 cards in their hand, and it's time to score the round. After each round, players will choose one row that they want to use to score their hand. Once a row is used, it cannot be used again. If a player chooses to score their hand based on wreaths, noise, ornaments, or presents, they are simply adding up the value of that suit in their hand. So here, the player would earn 11 points, plus they do get the 5-point bonus for having a pink card, the ornament card, in their hand. So that would be 16 points. That would be documented here in the noise row. If the player would like to score a rainbow for the round, they simply add up the highest cards of each color. So here the player had 3 blues, they would only include the highest valued blue, and they had 1 yellow and 1 green. So they add those 3 up for a total of 10. Notice they didn't have any pink or the ornament suit, and that's okay. It is not required to have all 4 suits in order to score in the rainbow column. For the match number row, if a player has 3 of a kind, they would earn 10 points, 4 of a kind is 20 points, and 5 of a kind is 30 points. Bonus points are still earned. So here the player would actually get +5 because they have a blue card, and another +5 because they have a pink card. Notice that you do not have to have all your cards in the same suit. And finally, if a player wants to use the run in order row, they either need a run of 4 or a run of 5. 4 being 15 points and a run of 5 being 25 points. Again, the cards do not have to be in the same suit. After the score is recorded for the round, the deal and the Grinch tile and tokens passes left. This player now becomes the Grinch, and the other 3 players are Who's for the next round. The number of rounds played depends on the number of players in the game. For a 4-player game, like in this example, you will play 4 rounds. And the player with the highest score at the end of the final round wins the game. If there's a tie, the victory is shared. And that was Grinch Grow Your Heart. As you can see, it's a pretty interesting little game. I kind of look at it as an evolution of rummy. Like, what if rummy was designed in the modern day? There's definitely the idea of building melds there, mixed with kind of a sushi go, collect and discard, along with also the Yahtzee style scoring, which I think is what really makes the game. So whereas sushi go, you're passing cards to your opponent, and here you're simply discarding them, but you still have that draw and discard phase with a growing hand after each draw. I think that's a pretty smart integration into what would normally just be a draw and discard game like rummy. For me, what really makes this game is the scoring system. So the fact that you have to choose 1 row per round, and then you can never score that row again, just makes it a fun challenge, because as the game progresses, players will see what their opponents have left as options for scoring, and they can start to kind of mess with their opponents. They can withhold cards and try to keep them from getting what they need. So there's a lot of depth there for just a simple little game from Funko Games. It's $7 to $8 depending on where you buy it, and I think it's worth every penny. The production is really, really solid. I know I've said this in the Turbo Time video. I don't understand why their Something Wild game is so cheap. It's just so cheap, and it costs as much as this. These have really, all of the games that I've played so far, it's Turbo Time and Grinch Grow Your Heart, have really, really high quality cards. It's kind of that chalky PVC sort of card. So it's waterproof, or it's definitely water resistant. Some people don't like that kind of card, but it does make them more durable, which I can appreciate. So as you can see in the video, the cards looked awesome. They captured the spirit of Dr. Seuss's Grinch perfectly. And I think they did a nice job combining theme and gameplay here, especially with that asymmetric gameplay where the Grinch gets to steal from any of the Who's that they want. So overall, a really nice package. I give this game a rating of fun. I've played it at 2 players so far, and it's pretty good. I'm excited to play it with more at the family Christmas get together, and I think it's going to be a blast. So I will definitely have a more developed opinion of the game after that session. Speaking of that, if you want to stay ahead on the games that I'm playing and my thoughts on them, be sure to check out my Board Game Geek page, and I will link directly to the geek list that will allow you to follow along with what I'm playing. So that'll all be in the description, along with links to riffleshuffleandroll.com, gamerules.com, and be sure to check them out. They have a great growing library of games. It's a wonderful site to search on and kind of find new things to play. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep on playing.